Good morning. I just wanted to share a few things that I've been up to this morning. I'm on vacation, so I have limited craft supplies with me, but I decided to make some pockets and embellishments and other things so I'd have them ready when I wanted to make a junk journal. So these are just those embellished paper clips that have been made so popular by Crafty Irene. Most of the things are either leftover scraps, book pages, or the flowers came from the Michael's $1.50 bin, I believe, and just a button and so on. So that's those. And then, because of all the wonderful videos I've seen lately about these, which are intended to be a tuck spot that gets glued at the top of a journal page, I made a few of these in different sizes. This one is using the Tim Holtz, no, I lied, not the Tim Holtz, the Spellbinders dies. And in some cases like this one, I used all 3 pieces. In this one, I just used the 2 small, or the 2 middle pieces, I guess. And the trim on the edges that looks like eyelash trim is actually this ball of yarn that I picked up at a local thrift store. But as you can see, it's not exactly eyelash trim. It's kind of odd, so I had to sort of cut it up in little pieces to get the parts that I want to use. But it works just fine. Here's another one that I made. This time I used a brad to hold the flowers in place. This is a smaller version of the same thing, and this time I used part of this Spellbinders die, and I actually had to cut pieces of it off because it was really a little bit too big. Here's another one that I made, and this time I sprayed the book pages. I used some Tattered Angels that I found on sale at my local Tuesday Morning. And the Tuesday Morning here, which used to be kind of a small, messy store, has apparently undergone a huge renovation since I was here last. And the store is twice the size. They took over the space next door, and they had all kinds of goodies. I went in to buy sheets and came out with a bag full of craft supplies. You know how that goes. And then here's just another smaller version of the same thing. I used a few leftover pieces of that branch and a button and a little flat back pearl. And then I decided to try to make some of these pockets that I've seen, and I kind of did my own take on it a little bit. So here's one. It's kind of like a library card pocket, but a little smaller. I put a little gesso on it to sort of mute the words a little bit, and then I stamped a dragonfly on it, and to add some color to the dragonfly, I used some of the Perfect Pearls. Just a tiny cup of water nearby, dipping the brush in the water and then in the Perfect Pearls. And I used some blue, some gold, and some green to get that look. And I don't know, it has a little bit of a sheen to it, but online it's all, there you go. I think you can see it right there. A little bit of a sheen to it, and I thought that was kind of cool. And here's another one that I made. This one's a little bit different because it's not flat on the back. The one with the dragonfly is completely flat on the back and will just get glued right to a page. This one, I found this stamp. I think I found this at Tuesday Morning as well. I sprayed it with some glimmer mist, also used the gesso. But on the back of this one, I made kind of a little bit of a gusset so the pocket would be just a little bit wider and would hold maybe a couple of tags instead of just one. And then here's another one that I made using some ribbon that I picked up at a thrift store, and the flowers with the button and string, and some of the Tim Holtz expressions that come in those pads. And then the last thing I have to show you this morning, this one is from a video that's been all over YouTube recently about the pockets made out of book pages and envelopes. So there's the envelope on the back, and there's a tutorial, and if I can figure out how to do it, I will link the tutorial to you. So I sort of followed what she did a little bit, kind of did a little bit of my own thing. Made another one almost exactly like it. And those pictures of the pears actually came from an art book that I picked up at a thrift store that just has pictures of paintings and photographs in it. So I just tore one of them apart because it was rather large and used half of it on one pocket and half of it on the other. So that seems like a pretty cool thing. And what's different about these is that they're not intended to get sewn into the signature, although you certainly could make one using your envelope board, let's say, that would get sewn into the signature. But this is intended to get glued right down to the page. At least that's the way I understood it from the video. Oh, and then there was just one more quick thing. I recently bought a Keurig, and so I no longer have a need for coffee filters. And, you know, I hate to waste things, so I was trying to think of what to do with them. So this is the Tim Holtz Tattered Flowers die, and I sprayed my coffee filters with some homemade sprays because I didn't have the Tattered Angels at the time. Just some homemade sprays that I put into a Walmart bottle like this. And then what I do is I put a couple of glass beads in the bottom of the bottle, and I throw in some of the Perfect Pearls. And that way the beads kind of do the same thing that they do in the bottom of a nail polish bottle. When you shake it, they mix everything up nicely. And then I just glued these together and stuck a tiny bit of stickles in the middle because I also had not purchased the pearls at that time. So it's kind of a nice look, very lightweight, and it can be very flat, which is nice in a journal. And then the only other thing that I wanted to share this morning, because I was using my paintbrush to put on the gesso, and I also use paintbrushes a lot with paint, obviously, and also with with Mod Podge. There we go. I discovered this actually to use in my classroom a number of years ago, and this is the greatest stuff. It's a brush cleaner. It's hard inside, and you just wet your brush and run it around the top of the stuff, rub it in, and it will even clean off a brush that has been improperly cleaned and has gotten kind of hard. They sell this at Michael's, they sell it at art stores, you can get it online at Amazon, and I highly recommend it. It's really great for cleaning your brushes. Okay, and I think that's all I have for today. Thanks so much for watching.